Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus the Twins. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna. Dallas Keuchel Lamson got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner.
Hello, White Sox fans. Welcome in. It is the Sox on Tap postgame show. I am Jonnie Nani. Alongside NWI Steve, we got him back on the microphone tonight. Unfortunately, result not too great, Steve, but how you doing, man? Good to have you back here.
Hey, Johnny, good to talk with you, man. Yeah, be doing a lot better if Sox would have had a more inspiring performance tonight. But alas, such is baseball.
Yep, you said it right before we jumped on. They got tonight. That just happened. Sometimes, offense just doesn't show up. You tip your cap to Mike Minor as well. He had a solid performance on the mound for Kansas City. Second time he's been able to get the White Sox number here so far in the early 2021 campaign. But final score was 5-1 in favor of the Royals tonight. So the White Sox will be looking for a split tomorrow. We've got a bunch of thoughts, takeaways, breakdowns, all of that stuff. But before we get into any of that, per usual, make sure you're going to ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. You can follow us on Twitter at Sox on Tap and at OnTapSportsNet. And if you're looking for White Sox merchandise, Grandstand Sox is the place to go. You can go and shop online at grandstandsox.com, and you can check out their social media at Grandstand Sox. All right, Steve, like I mentioned, 5-1 here tonight. Carlos Rodon on the bump for the White Sox. Not typical of what we've seen so far this year. We've been a little bit spoiled so far, maybe a little coming back down to earth moment, and overall a little bit lack of control. And the Royals did have a good game plan against them, both in the box and on the bases.
Combination of things here tonight. Rodon facing the Royals for the second time in a week. And as you mentioned here, look, he just simply did not have the control and command of his fastball tonight. It really looked like he was battling himself out there. Just seemed like he never felt comfortable from the outset. Did get hurt in a couple of instances by some shoddy ball and strike calls from Larry Vanover behind the plate, but that ultimately wasn't, the big reason for the outcome here tonight. Carlos just, he simply didn't have his quality command and control tonight that we've seen throughout the course of the season here. That's going to happen over the course of a 30 to 32 starts for a pitcher. And tonight was just one of those nights for Carlos. And like you said, look, Whit Merrifield and Carlos Santana in particular, those two guys had some really strong at-bats against him early on in this game to really set the tone in the two scoring innings that the Royals had. And that was the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, the tough one, sometimes you get got, and sometimes, Carlos Rodon, it has been, I would say, definitely surprised for most White Sox fans, just given his past. And obviously, there's plenty of factors that we've discussed previously after quality Carlos Rodon starts where he's logging wins, game in and game out, and the minuscule ERA. And even after tonight, it's balloon up, I say, 147 still after tonight. So still pretty decent from lows overall. But tonight, like you'd mentioned, some of just the particular instances with some good at bats, and then them taking advantage of them. They went to school on the base pass. Like I'd mentioned a little bit earlier in the kind of intro, tip your cap to Mike Minor as well. This guy threw well tonight, and this is the second time that we have seen him like this year. What made him so effective against the White Sox tonight?
I think the biggest thing with him tonight was he was really featuring that changeup, and he was using it and spotting it down and into right-handed hitters. And Stone and Benetti were talking about this. Stone in particular mentioning the fact that you don't usually see a lot of that from left-handed pitchers using it in that particular location against right-handed hitters. And Minor was able to spot it effectively here tonight, was really able to get some nice downward movement with that pitch, and was utilizing it to put guys away and get ahead in counts with it consistently. So he had a real good fastball changeup mix here tonight that was just, tough to do anything with when he was spotting correctly. Yeah. And look, Steve Stone said, you have a major league pitcher out there, and if he's on his A game, they're going to be tough to beat, even if it's a guy that has been somewhat of a journeyman like a Mike Minor, who has had some good seasons throughout the course of his career. But you get a major league pitcher on, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's get into the scoring here. It would start in the top of the first. Merrifield leads off at the Bing, leadoff double off the wall out in left field. Santana walks, and that's where I talk about some of the on-base stuff. They do execute a double steal while Perez is up at the plate. Rodon would get Perez to strike out, but then Jorge Soler comes through with the RBI single. Luckily, Rodon able to get a couple of Ks to work out of that. So, it could have been worse in this first inning, but still, you don't like to get behind the 8-ball here, Steve.
Exactly. You always want to be the team to kind of strike first and get that early lead. And Whit Merrifield jumping on that first inning pitch here for that double, and Carlos Santana just doing what he does, working long, arduous at bats. And this is something that was really interesting here, and obviously must have been something in the advanced scouting report here, is the Royals were running on Carlos Rodon anytime they had an opportunity here tonight, particularly when they had guys at second base. So they saw something, I'm assuming, in that last start in Kansas City last weekend here, where he just simply wasn't checking the runners enough. So it's kind of a one-look Charlie, as we like to call him, and they were taking that extra 90 feet, and that proved to be pretty costly here throughout the course of the game here. Is obviously it's a lot different mindset when you're a pitcher and you're out there with a guy on third base versus if you have a guy on second. You feel like you have to be a little more fine with your control and command, and Carlos unfortunately wasn't tonight.
Yeah, like we talked about, sometimes you just don't have it as well as you did before, and it was outstanding to this point. Obviously, a no hitter to boot within there, and then other solid performances, low hit totals, and all of that. But you pile up some walks in there, that's going to lead to some damage, and then also after, I think familiarity is a big thing here too, because like you mentioned, it's the second time in a week starting against these Kansas City Royals, so I think that plays a factor as well. Let's move on to the top of the third, where more damage would occur, unfortunately. Merrifield leads off with a double again, a little one down the line, not a shot out to the gap like his first one, but then Santana once again works a walk, and Salvi gets one of his home runs out to right field, a 3-run shot. And this is kind of not at this point in the game, but it feels deflating extremely. You'd hope that the White Sox could get some more offense going after this. We'll talk about some of their issues on that side of the plate here, but I would say the best word for me to describe this is deflating in this top of the third.
Without question, you fall behind 4-0, and you can kind of see early on that Mike Minor did have good stuff tonight, so you felt like 4 runs would be a pretty sizable total to have to overcome here. And you talked about tipping your cap to Mike Minor. You got to tip your hat to Salvi Perez. Unfortunately, as much as we dislike him for some of the bullshit that he does behind the plate trying to be the fun police, that pitch was up out of the strike zone. I still don't understand how he was able to barrel that pitch up. So that's an instance. Look, you got to tip your cap to the guy. He hit a pitch well out of the strike zone, and he hit it out to the opposite field. There's really not a whole lot you can do about that, if we're being completely honest.
And he's taken it in, not the only time in the series. He's taken advantage of the guaranteed right field dimensions out there. He's just getting bullpen shots out to right field. Obviously, the wind aided one on Friday in the first game. And then tonight, like you mentioned, the high pitch that he's just able to go and put the other way out in there. That would be 4-0 after the top of the third, though. And White Sox would strike back with 1. And this is a one storyline, one positive here. There are a couple more positives after this, but the big one, the big one that everybody was focused on is Jose Abreu's return. Obviously, he was vying to stay in the game after the collision and then play the second game. He wanted to do that, but obviously medical staff, those decisions were made that he was not going to play last night. But Tony La Russa said he didn't know if he'd be in today or if it would definitely be tomorrow then. It was today because, you can't keep Pito out for long, and he comes through with a solo shot out to left in the bottom of the fourth here. How good was it to see Pito back? First of all, from just a team morale standpoint, and then production-wise, what it means to this lineup here, Steve.
It's obviously huge having Jose Abreu in that lineup. Look, we all know he is one of the central cogs of this team and really the big run producer in the middle part of that order. So losing him for even one game is a sizable loss for this team, and just the way that opposing pitchers have to then attack the lineup with him in there, it does change things for the Sox quite a bit. So, seeing him back in there, being back at full health, you knew he was coming back in here and he was going to want to make an impact right away. And, he certainly did that with that home run here. And it was always nice to kind of see your pick to click come through in a circumstance like that.
Yeah, you called it, and I think it was, it's an emphatic one. Obviously, Tony and I, when we made our picks, we were on the show last night. Didn't know if Jose would officially be back in. We knew he would want to be. Didn't know if that would be the case though with the medical staff. Obviously, it was and worked out for you with your pick to click there tonight. I wish my guy Vaughn could have gotten going a little more, and he's close. We'll get to that though as we run down the rest of this game here. As we kind of move on. There's another, spot in the top of the fourth where there could have been some more damage, and that was, Lopez with the leadoff single. Merrifield flew out, and then Santana gets a little infield dribbler. The guy's just a pain in the ass right now, and Lopez still third, but Perez grounds in double play, so good for Rodon to, limit some damage there. And then after that, there's no scoring until the ninth when Carlos Santana would hit a solo shot off of Jose Ruiz. But let's talk about some of the bullpen guys in the middle here. I was, we talked about some positives, obviously Jose Abreu. I was impressed with Evan Marshall too. What'd you like from him tonight?
It was definitely encouraging to see Evan Marshall go out there and have a scoreless outing. This is something that has really been an up and down struggle for him for much of the season here. And as our guy Sal's mentioned, Evan Marshall and Matt Foster, two guys that were really central parts of a very effective and dominant bullpen last season, have had some notable struggles here to the early part of the 2021 campaign. So hopefully this is the beginning of them getting back on track, and this bullpen starting to perform to the level that many of us thought that they would.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's good to see him in that curveball is working too. Two strikeouts kind of end that top of the seventh. Those are some really nice ones to bury him there. And now we get Matt Foster in the eighth here. Let's talk about the second guy in this cog here. And this was a, kind of maybe questionable, but he did get out of it with no damage ultimately because there was a scenario with, after the Royals had moved guy over to third and Dyson is trying to sack him or get him home on a bunt, and Foster does make the play. So first of all, I think this has been an issue for, both this year, last season for the White Sox, getting the ball to the plate accurately and in time. Ball was all there in time, and obviously the slide is a little evasive, but the call was out on the field when Collins, it looked, from the umpire's view there, I would probably call him out too, if I'm being human about it there at home plate. When you go and look at the replay, it's, like Benetti was kind of saying, the call in the field matters big time there because it looked like upon the replay in slow-mo that might have been a safe call there. But either way, Matt Foster able to work out of this. My one thing here, they'll inject a little meatball take here. Benetti kind of doing some defense for the Royals, some standing for the Royals. Like that's a moment where I miss Homer Hawk and just be like, oh yeah, let's move on. Like, that's big for the White Sox.
Yeah, I agree. Look, as someone who obviously grew up with the old Hawkeroo there, you would never hear him campaigning or pining for a call or defending something going against the White Sox opposition here. So, Benetti, let's clean that up a little bit.
Yeah. I just wanted to inject that here too, because not too much positive here. White Sox would apply a little pressure in the bottom of the eighth. Anderson looked like he could have been a little bit of spark. He hit one really well, close to going out, but it was ended up being a double to left center with 2 outs. Garcia works an unbelievable at bat for Lurie there. Multiple, tons of I forget exactly what it was, but it had to be upwards of 10 plus. I if I remember correctly, and he works the walk, and then Moncada, unfortunately, with a ground out, and he slides into first base. That kind of kills that little rally there. And then in the ninth, Abreu leads off with a single hard hit ball that kind of squeaks through infielder there on the right side. Mercedes grounds into a force, and then Vaughn would fly out, and then Collins as well follows suit. So that would be the end of the game here. Just shooting blanks here at the end, Steve. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah, if I could just go on a little bit of a rant here right now, kind of circling back to that 8th inning rally.
Yeah, go ahead.
Couple of different things here. You mentioned that at bat from Larry Garcia. Really, that was one of the best at bats we've really seen from him here in the 2021 season, fouling off a number of tough pitches, taking some close pitches out of the strike zone. So that's the type of at bat you really like to see out of Larry. He's obviously been much maligned by a lot of people here in the early going of this season, but the last 7 to 10 days or so, he really has swung the bat well, and he's made some positive contributions offensively here. So looks like Larry is definitely starting to maybe turn a little bit of a corner here for the team and make some positive contributions at the plate. And then we come to Yoan Moncada. So this was obviously a very pivotal spot in this game here because you got the tying run at the plate. And, if nothing else, you're just hoping just keep that inning alive so that you get Pito up to the plate for an opportunity to drive in some runs and do what he does. I'm going to say this, and I know that I'm going to sound like a broken record. And I know that, some people are going to accuse me of being the old man yelling at clouds. Stop sliding into first base. Period. Paragraph. You slide for one reason and one reason only in the game of baseball, and that is to avoid a tag. That's it. Period. End of discussion. Run through the fucking bag.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, we've seen injuries in the past. Think about Larry Garcia, a guy we were just talking about, injuries last season, sliding into the bag. And I think he's had some other ones that weren't as serious as that one last year. But you just see that with all the injuries the White Sox have right now, you don't want to risk it to another one of your top players in Yoan Moncada. So I agree wholeheartedly with you there. And the concept of it, like, yeah, you're sliding to avoid a tag. And that's, first base, how often are you doing that? Very, very, very infrequently, especially not on that play there. So in the ninth, I just want to comment on Yerman. Overall, damn solid at bats. We know the production from the Yerminator so far, but man, those inside pitches that he's almost hitting them and he's swinging at, obviously broken bat on the ground out to the force at second. It just sucks when it happens in a situation like this when you really need it.
Look, your main Mercedes is going through something that is very typical for players that lack a lot of major league experience, and even for veterans. He simply is being pitched to pretty aggressively right now, and it seems as though teams are trying to attack him inside off the plate right now. And because he is a guy that does like to swing the bat, and he has been able to fist off some of those tough pitches and get some base hits on it, teams are going to just continue to keep going in there off the plate, and they're going to keep trying to push it just a little bit more with each passing sequence here until he eventually starts taking those pitches and starts either taking walks or continuing the at-bats. So, look, there's obviously not a lot to complain about when it comes to Yermin Mercedes here throughout the 2021 season. He has been a tremendous surprise and a much-needed surprise for a team that has had some very notable injuries here. He's going through his first little test of adversity here at the major league level. He's going to have to adjust now. This guy has shown that he is a pretty smart, pretty cerebral hitter, shows that he has a very good concept of what he's trying to do at the plate. And he's just going to have to kind of figure it out right now and just kind of weather the storm.
Yeah, most definitely. I think we all knew that the torrid pace he started the season with would not be sustainable. But like you said, making those tactical adjustments and how pitchers are trying to adjust to him, he needs to make those counter adjustments, and so we can see some more urmination and some bombs out to almost the concourse there in left field. So I don't have too much else from this one. I think we touched on most everything with the starting pitching, scoring, how it went down, and the bullpen. If you got final thoughts, go ahead and share those, and then we can get into the series finale preview here.
Just chalk it up and get this game tomorrow. Get out of here with a split. The Royals are proving this weekend here to be a pretty pesky team. And this is what I thought coming into the season. They were good enough to be a 77, 78 win team and be really annoying and just be pests out there. And this is kind of what they have shown this weekend.
Yeah, most definitely. And, they went on an 11-game slide, too. So you talk about just baseball in general and it being a long season. You can't expect to bury these guys every single night. And obviously, a White Sox offense is the kind of main culprit here. And then obviously, Carlos Rodon not having his typical stuff, what we've been accustomed to so far this season. But hey, it's baseball. It happens. Sometimes the other team just gets you on a certain night. But like you said, still a chance to go and split the series here in the finale. And I hope that the response is there. Let's get into what the series finale will entail. It's a 1:10 p.m. Central Time start. It's Sunday, May 16th, game on NBC Sports Chicago here. Brady Singer going for the Royals. Dylan Cease. Let's drop some hammers here on a Sunday afternoon. Steve, what are you expecting from this matchup between these two guys?
I think you're going to see a lot of high-octane fastballs. Brady Singer is a guy that has a mentality kind of similar to that of a Lance Lynn and some of the other guys that I know you and I really have an admiration for. He's a guy that's going to go after hitters aggressively, particularly with the fastball. And he's got some, I would say, some average secondary stuff right now, a little bit inconsistent with the command of his slider in there, but he's going to be a guy, he's going to be pumping a lot of fastballs at the Sox hitters. So I think just go out there, have that approach and know that that's what he's going to try to attack them with early and often. And from Dylan Cease, look, same thing from him. Go out there, establish that fastball command, similar to what he did against the Detroit Tigers and the Cincinnati Reds. Kind of got away from him a little bit that last start in Minnesota. Go out there, get ahead of guys 0-1, 0-2, and drop some hammers on them. Let's go out there, have a good outing, and let's get the split tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I will be out at the game. So if anyone's going out to the game here on Sunday afternoon, I'll be at Cork and Carey's, probably starting around a little after 11 a.m. So if you're in there, come through, see me. I'll be there with my dad and some Tony, our panelist here, Tony on Tap, will possibly be rolling through with some of his family members as well. So if you're in the area going out before the game, definitely come and join us here. I'm looking forward to some hammers tomorrow, Steve. We've kind of had that sort of as it's Sox on Tap rule number 84, drop the hammer. So, let's see it. I can't wait to see it in person. And the first time I'll be seeing him from the 100 level, so I'll get a little better view of it. I've been up in the 500 to start, finally back kind of closer to my normal seats down third baseline in the 100 level for these games. So definitely come meet up with the Sox on Tap guys if you are going out to the game this fine Sunday. So like we mentioned, chance to split the series. And, I don't think, obviously we wanted to win it. We want to win every series. That's just, we're homers here, as our guy Buzz likes to say. But it's baseball. It's a long season. White Sox went on a very nice stretch before this and sweeping 2 consecutive series. So if we split this, I will not be entirely irate over this.
Listen, get this win tomorrow. That's a 5-2 homestand. That's kind of what you want when you have a 7-game homestand right there. So you can, quibble a little bit about splitting a series against a Royals team that had lost 11 in a row coming into the weekend. But like you talked about earlier, Johnny, here, you just look at probability when a team's coming in off of an 11-game losing streak. The probability is at some point here that streak is not going to continue. Now, obviously, you don't want to split the 4 games with them, but again, that's baseball. It's going to happen sometimes. And the Royals, look, they played a very solid baseball game, very solid fundamental game tonight. Mike Minor threw the ball well. They had some real strong at bats out there. Salvi Perez hits a home run. It happens, So go out there tomorrow, get a win, get a 5-2 homestand. Let's go up to Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm totally on board with that. My last kind of note for today before we get, for Sunday's game, before we get a pick to click selections here, would be a little more opportunistic. And I know it's easier said than done, but you had some chances down the home stretch here in the bottom of the 8th and the bottom of the 9th. So if we get in those scenarios, first of all, I'd like to just score the runs early and not have to worry about that in a rally scenario. But if you get in there, like you had said, maybe Yohan Moncada being a little more patient or whatnot, and just getting it over to Pito in a situation like that, set ourselves up for the best chance for success here on Sunday afternoon. So let's get picks to click though, because we've been kind of here and there about those here. Me and Tony missed him one game, so I don't want to miss him here. Who is your pick to click for the series finale?
All right, so assuming he's in the lineup, and I'm hoping that he's in the lineup tomorrow because his absence has been very notable here 3 out of the last 4 games, I'm going to take Yasmani Grandal.
Yes, I'm wearing the shirt. Got it in today. So yeah, I like that pick there. Let's see. For me, as we're going against Brady Singer here on Sunday afternoon, I will go with Tim Anderson. He is batting a nice 667 against Brady Singer here. So I'll go with Tim Anderson. I feel like I've been picking him a little frequently here, but like you said, one of your favorite terms, he's the straw that stirs the drink. So if they're going to get it going here, I'd like to see that from the very top with Tim Anderson. So that's about all I've got for this one. Steve, any final thoughts, and then we can get out of here.
I think we covered everything. That's what tomorrow.
Yep, let's get the split. Just take care of the one ahead of you, and then we are on to Minnesota for the middle of the week up there in Mini. So once again, thank you for tuning into the Sox on Tap podcast. Everyone in the live stream here, it will be up on podcast platforms wherever you listen as soon as I'm able to get this all clipped and edited and uploaded. Make sure you're visiting ontapsportsnet.com for all of our written content over there on the White Sox and all things Chicago sports there, and you can follow us on social media at Sox on Tap and at On Tap Sportsnet. When you're looking for White Sox merchandise, Grandstand Sox is the place to go. Visit them online to shop there at grandstandsox.com, and you can follow them on social media as well at Grandstand Sox. Steve, that does it for this episode. Tough one tonight, shooting some blanks. Let's go out a little more energy tomorrow and kickstart this thing into a solid week. What will entail another division rival in the Twins. So that's all I've got. White Sox forever.
White Sox for life.